All right, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a review on the new WWE dual-plated Winged Eagle Championship replica belt. So, look, I have been a wrestling fan for a very long time. I remember watching Hulk Hogan battle Andre the Giant at Wrestlemania 3, the Pontiac Silverdome in 1987. I believe it was 1987. And when this belt debuted, now granted this is more of the WrestleMania 4 belt, but still, I've always wanted this championship belt. I have one, that one, but there's a lot of mistakes on this belt that we'll cover. But this one, for me, the biggest thing about the Winged Eagle, that, you know, its most defining characteristics besides the wings, is the sidebars. The sidebars. Like, no one really talks about that. They kind of talk about it, but then they kind of gloss over it. Look, honestly, these sidebars, the way they're designed, the way it just looks on TV, this, for me, is the defining characteristic of this championship belt. And finally, WWE, besides their Master Series, right, they re-released a better dual-plated Winged Eagle Championship belt with attached sidebars. Now, let's get into these sidebars. Look, it's not like they're lightly welded. Look, they are part of the main plate, as you can see, right? You can look right there. It's pretty robust, right? It ain't gonna snap off or anything. I mean, as long as you're not, I guess, putting a hammer to it. But, yeah, I love that, you know? And even when, now this belt is heavier. Man, alive. Even when you hold the belt, right, you can see that the bolts, it's no longer bolted on the side, right? Normally these belts are bolted, let me see here, where it's like, it'll be bolted to the leather like that, right? So there'll be a little bit of it hanging off, but they didn't do that. The bolts are in the center, right? And just like the real Winged Eagle, when you saw your favorite wrestlers hold the championship, particularly like this, the main plate along with the sidebars, I mean, they came off the belt pretty significantly, like this. And so they did a really good job replicating that with this version. Hold on. Another thing to note is that the detailing on this belt is far better than on this one. And so let me explain. The etching is better. The world banner is raised, right? As you can see here, right? The wording, the words are much more pronounced and elevated from the banner, from the plate. The globe itself, look at that. It's much more recessed in there, and right, it's much more detailed. The wrestling champion banner, okay, again, the letters are much more pronounced, much more raised. The stars look like stars. Take a look at that, and I'll show you on the other version, okay? Look at those stars, okay? They actually look like stars. So let's come over here to this version. This is a WWE licensed Winged Eagle, right? This is the one that they've been selling on WWE Shop for many years. You can see the sidebars aren't attached. The main plate is bolted to the strap here, like on the sides, you know, including top and bottom, right? So when you hold the belt, it doesn't come off the leather, which is, you know, not accurate. But anyways, you can see the world banner. It's kind of like flat, right? Even the globe, it's kind of flat. Heavyweight and wrestling champion, again, it's kind of flat. You can kind of feel the letters, but it's, for the most part, it's flat. But look at the stars. Okay, look at the stars. They look like blobs. Okay, like blobs of paint. I mean, it's not paint, but you see what I mean? Now let's look at this. Look at the stars. Much more detailed, much, they look like stars, right? Instead of painted on blobs. Now it's not painted on. The black is actually the acrylic paint, but, you know, The detailing on this one is far better. Not only that, the WWE logo is centered. Can you see that? Can you see that? It's centered. Okay? Versus this. See how it's off center? It's off to the left. Okay? And let's look at this again. It's centered. Take a real good look. Now look at this. See what I mean? There was a first batch of these that came out in June. Now I missed that cutoff, right? When I got to the page at like 3 days later, they were all sold out and I had to pre-order. And I finally got this in August. But I'm glad I didn't get that first batch because one, main plate was bolted here on the sides, right? So when you held the belt, only a little bit of sidebars would protrude. But the WWE logo was still off-centered. They didn't fix that. Thank God they had a misspelling here because they fixed that, but they also fixed the positioning of the W's. Okay, even on the side plates. Look at that. See how that's centered? The W's. Let's see if we can get a good view. The W's are centered on the sunburst pattern. Now let's look at the previous WWE version. Look at that. Look how the W's are off-center. And the reason for this is because this used to be WWF. So you would have the F part come out here and it would be centered, right? But because there's no F anymore, technically this should be centered. So this should be moved over just a little bit, but it's not, right? Can you see that? See how annoying that would be? But now look at that. They fixed it. They finally fixed the positioning of the logos, which was like when I first got this championship belt, I hated that the logos were off center. Like that bothered me, amongst other things, like the sidebars not being attached. But yeah, so they finally fixed that. Okay, so real quick, the curvature. This one, the previous WWE Winged Eagle, it's pretty flat. You can see that's got a slight curve. I mean, it's slight, right? Now let's look at the new dual-plated Winged Eagle, okay? And this is a much heavier belt. Man, alive. Look at that. Can you see that curve? It has got a very pronounced curve to it. Look at that. Man, alive, that's heavy. Can you see that? The curvature on this belt is much more pronounced. And yeah, so, come on now. There we go. The cut of the leather is definitely different. The leather on the dual plated is much more flexible. And I don't know what they did. Maybe they reduced the amount of cardboard that's in the strap. I have no idea, but it's a little bit softer and it's way more flexible. I mean, it's almost like having real leather, almost. Not quite, almost. Whereas this one, yeah, I mean, it's definitely the leather, it's hard, it doesn't flex much, it's just, whatever. But they did a really good job with this belt, okay? Now everyone, we already know that on the back of the strap, as a matter of fact, let's see if we can, all right. So if you see the back of the strap, the bolts are covered up, and I like that. I really do like that. You can see what I mean by the main plate is bolted in the center. There's not a bolt here or a bolt here like on the other Winged Eagle version. Okay, let's compare that. There's the dual plated, the new one, and then this one. So you got the main plate bolts is here, 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 there, and that one. And these are your sidebars, right? Those are their bolts for the sidebars. And you can tell that the leather, the backing is different. Like you can tell by the material itself is different. Can you see that? Clearly it's different. And you can even see, even here you can see that curve, right? See that? Whereas this one, it's just kind of like, it's slight, but it's kind of flat. So let's flip these over. Oh yeah, you can see that? Like it doesn't even want to like, okay, here we go, okay. I don't know if you can see that curvature, but it's definitely, it's much more pronounced than, yeah, there you go. You can kind of see it there. The dual plated is definitely, the curvature on that is nice. And you know what? It doesn't have to be a big curve because the belt is already small. The main plate is kind of small compared to like the big gold or the big eagle, right? The winged eagle doesn't need to have a big curve. It doesn't. It's just enough and it's perfect. I think it's absolutely perfect. But let me see if I can do a shot of how floppy the leather is. Okay, so this version is the previous, old version, right? You see the straps, so it's got the stitching, whereas the new one, there's no stitching, right? So this is the side with the tip, okay? We're gonna kind of lift this up. You can see it kind of got, it hangs over, right? But it's got that, fifth plate, or sixth plate with the tip on the end, right? But let's check out this one. Look at that. Still touching the floor. Still touching the floor. And look at that. I'm almost 90 degrees. Still up. There it goes. Can you see the difference? Look at that. Almost 90 degrees right there. See the difference between this strap? This is a much more flexible strap. Much more flexible. Let's do this one again. Okay, we're going to lift it up. Try to get that 90 degrees. Lift it up. 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 Get 90 degrees. See that? Huge difference. Huge difference. Look at that. Look at that. So anyways, yeah, so there's my review, and I'm very glad to finally get a WWE licensed winged eagle with the side bars being attached. That for me is the biggest thing. I'm like a kid again. Like really, I am. This takes me back to when I was a kid. So, we gotta stay young. We gotta stay in these trying times that we are living. We have to find the little things that give us joy, right? And so, having a piece of my childhood, such an iconic wrestling piece, gives me a little joy in my heart. So, but anyways. Hope this is, I've just noticed, look at the difference in the color of the gold. This previous version is much more yellowish, and that one isn't as yellow. Interesting. But anyways, hope you've enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.